right, so my presentation today is on we're launching, at Hatteras, we're launching a mutual fund that's structured around private equity data. And it's going to be partly on just the history of the index that we're getting the data from. And then the other part will be on how we actually put it together into an investable format, into a 40 Act structured fund. So, we've been around since 2003. We started with a core fund, which was an endowment model, which invests in private equity, and then also into hedge funds. And then since then, we have a series of mutual funds, 2 venture capital funds, 2 private equity fund of funds. So private equity is something that we really kind of understand. So the thing about private equity is very illiquid. When you're an LP and you invest in private equity, your money, you commit a certain amount, and then your money basically is locked up until there's exits within the underlying companies that the private equity firm purchases. So we figured a great solution would be something with daily liquidity, full transparency, and equity-like returns. They're not going to be as high as your private equity returns because you're losing that illiquidity premium because we're invested in actual equities and currencies. So to do this, we partnered with QES, which is a kind of like a quant shop out of Denver, and they build models. And back in 2007, they started building a model that looked at Preqin data. Preqin's so are you guys familiar with HFRX data? Right, so basically 25,000 private equity funds, when they do a deal, they report it to Preqin. Let's say they're buying in the healthcare sector and technology, they report that. There is somewhat of a delay, sometimes a month, sometimes they only report every quarter. But so QES has an agreement with Preqin to get daily data. So when the deal data comes through, they're getting it daily. So then how we fit into the mix is then we're working with QES to we're going to launch the fund, and we are raising all the capital. So we're doing the trading, and they're going to be giving us the data from the model. And Nomura is an investment bank based out of Tokyo, but we're working with their London branch to get the seed capital to get the fund running. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the model, one, because it's kind of like the secret sauce. So Preqin data comes in, then it looks at the sectors, what sectors they're investing in, and then from there it looks at what currencies that the sectors are buying. So if they're buying in Japan, then it actually weighs up the yen to the model. So it does it over 6 currencies, with 7 including the USD. And then from there, we're able to get allocations and then invest in the fund. So how is that done? Well, this is why the cash component's neat. So similar to what we learned in macro, this is back in 2008, how the S&P is kind of a leading indicator to GDP. We believe that ABC fund and private equity people are a leading indicator to the S&P. So this is the index, the ABC index. I can't disclose the name. And this is S&P 500. And what happened here, and you can see up here, is that private equity GPs were going to cash. This is 77% cash in 2008 because they were dry powder. They weren't buying any new deals. They weren't calling capital up from their LPs. They were basically sitting in cash. So by only having 23% equity exposure, our dip was relatively less than the S&P. So then basically how is it done? It's done across 10 large caps, the 10 mid caps, and then the 7 currencies. So that's what goes in the index model. So then it's how do you get a fund? How do you create a fund off this? Well, for the 500s, you can get it through ETFs, an index swap on the entire index, or the subsector indexes, baskets of stocks. So you could buy So you can buy some of the constituents for each sector, or you can just buy all of them, so all the 500s, all the 400s. Now for the 400s, there's no ETFs. Swaps are super expensive. Basically, whatever investment bank's going to do the swap for you, they're going to charge you 5%. Or you can buy baskets of the stocks, or you can buy the underlying currencies. For the currencies, how do you get it? Through forwards and through spots. So I did some research on could we purchase the smaller baskets. And what I found is that you have to really not have huge standard errors with the 400s. So if you get 66, or I think 66 was kind of the tipping point, you can keep your tracking errors pretty substantially low and still maintain a good correlation and a good beta. But at the end of it, it was decided based on an agreement with a prime broker with trading costs that we're just going to purchase all 900, so the 500s and the 400s. So here's kind of how it's done. On Tuesday or Wednesday morning, we get the model from QES. Tuesday, 5 minutes. I'll almost finish. Tuesday night, we get the constituent data from the 400s and the 500s. That comes over here. Then we have a model on our side that takes all that data, rolls it up, weights, allocates. I built in a couple things based off of like analyst consensus ratings. In addition to this model, that it basically, if a position is, so it's 1 through 5, from buys to hard sells. 5 being a hard buy, 1 being sell. And it's for a sell side analyst to actually put a 1, you see someone trying to sell a security, it means the security is pretty bad. So in the model, I have a round feature that actually doesn't purchase the stocks that are at 1s or 2s.